German beer. Need I say more? Cedar Springs Brewing pays homage to the original West Michigan German brewer Christoph Küsterer with a whole line of beers and an overall vibe centered around German beers and sayings. We're sitting down with Cedar Springs Director of Happiness David Ringler and taking a look at 3 unique beers to this West Michigan brewery, 2 of which are part of that Küsterer beer line, and the third an Irish Stout, which is part of the Cedar Springs line of beers. Guten Tag, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hops with Hey Luke. Up first, the Küsterer Original Weissbeer.
Prost in German. Prost, we click the bottom of the glass, we look each other in the eye, in the Augen schauen. It's eine freundliche Sport. It's a social sport, so you're gonna get little bits of kind of a nuttiness and a banana nut bread flavor to that.
Yeah.
Now, no bananas were harmed in the making of this beer. We're German, and what that means is that we use 4 ingredients in all of our beers. So all of these beers that we're going to experience today are all made with just 4 ingredients. It's malt, water, hops, and yeast. That's it. This is actually one of the oldest beers we make. This is based on a 6-century-old recipe. It's been around for a long, long time. And for almost 3 centuries, this was the exclusive beer of the royal court, the King of Bavaria. And this was up to 1/3 of royal revenues. So if you can imagine, the United States having their own brewery and being 1/3 of revenues, I'm sure it would cut our taxes, right in half. But it was a tremendous revenue source for the crown for a long, long time. In fact, they fought the 30 Years' War against the Swedes based on the sale of this beer. This is actually Hefeweizen. Most Americans think of this as Hefeweizen, but this is what it was based on. The modern version is blonde and very light and much more fruity, more banana, more clove. This has a little more body and balance to it.
So with only four ingredients, where does that banana nut, where does that flavor come from?
Yeah, it's coming from esters and enzymes that actually exist in those ingredients. And again, that's a little bit of the brew house magic. It's a specialty yeast that we use. We use open fermentation to kind of bring out some of those fruity esters that are giving you some of those notes. And it's not truly nuts or bananas that are in there, but those aromas and those flavors remind us of those items.
Second, the Küsterer Pils.
If we're drinking a Bohemian Pils, we can say nostrovia.
Okay.
That would be the Czech for the same thing. Now, much different experience. This is going to be crisp, clean. You're getting as you exhale in your nose, you're getting these nice little herbal, almost flowery herbal, like cooking herb aromas. Mm-hmm. As you exhale, there's just a touch of dryness on the back of your throat. Clean and crisp. This was a worldwide sensation. It was one of the world's first international collaboration beers. They actually had a beer riot in the town of Pilsen in the 1840s, right? The citizens felt their brewery was making bad beer. And so they threw beer in the streets and demanded better beer. And the town fathers, they went and hired a brewer from Bavaria who brought lager yeast. They used the local Saaz and Hallertauer hops, and they borrowed some of the pale malting technologies from England and created a brand new beer. The world had never seen anything like this, and it's bright and clear, and it's served in these glasses. The Germans regard this as your premium lager, so it's typically served in a smaller vessel so that the beer stays cool, so it's nice and crisp as you do drink it. This really is the everyman beer. This beer literally took over the world. 90% of the beer that's sold in the world today is based on Pilsner-style beers. And obviously they'll have their own variations and they'll lighten them and do different things with them, but they're all really based on this light, crisp lager that was invented literally in the town of Pilsen in 1842.
And lastly, the Eire Irish Stout.
This is our Eire, which is the Irish word for Ireland. And the Eire is an Irish stout, so this is a dry Irish stout, and obviously the most famous one is Guinness. Most people think of Guinness right away. And these also evolved for a certain reason based on the water that existed at the time and the roasted malts that they had available to them at their original brewery in St. James Gate. So these are dark, and really that's because of the roasting of the malts. Just like coffee beans are roasted, malts can be roasted to give us color and give us some flavor. And as you taste this and put it up to your nose, you're going to get some of those dry, roasted, toasted flavors, right? That's going to remind you of coffee. That's the first thing that people think of. And I'm not even really, now, this would be sláinte.
Yes.
We're an equal opportunity imbiber around here, but as we're partaking in Irish. So this is going to be much different. You're getting a
like
little
that.
bit of that malty sweetness to it, but again, it's dry on the nose and it's dry on the finish. Most people don't realize a Guinness actually has fewer calories and less alcohol than a Budweiser.
Really?
Color doesn't mean anything in terms of strength. And Irish beers, and the same in England, are taxed based on their alcohol content. So most of these beers are actually very low in alcohol.
How many languages do you speak?
Fluently German and English. I can get by a little bit in Czech, and my kids speak Spanish, but I haven't gotten there yet. So
How many languages can you say cheers in? That's should have asked.
At one point, I had 25 when I was living overseas, because you would meet people from all over the place, and that was always one of my questions was how you could say cheers in your language.
For more on hops and next week's episode, head over to woodtv.com and click the Watch tab.